And we are back, and we just finished watching 2021's Venom, Let There Be Carnage, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. I really don't have any positive thoughts about this film. It wasn't good.
I think I'm with you.
Holy smokes. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because we started watching Black Friday, which was a disaster, which, yeah, I let that go on way too long. And then we switched to this, which I was hoping would be decent. I mean, I wasn't expecting.
I mean, all right, if we could say some positive things about it, it wasn't as boring as Black Friday.
It wasn't as bad as Black Friday.
Black Friday
was terrible.
It was just boring from the get-go.
Right.
Maybe it picks up, but
I
didn't feel like sitting through and finding out. As far as Venom goes, it's like it's one of those fake Marvel movies. It's Marvel in association with Sony.
Well, no, it's Columbia Pictures in association with Marvel, which also have the
Sony's the one that owns the property.
Okay, because it said Columbia Pictures in association.
I'm sure
with Marvel.
everybody wants to put their finger in, but the thing is, like, okay, Venom is not the most interesting character in the world. He's visually interesting, and he had an interesting story in the comics. As a bad guy, he wanted to kill Spider-Man because there's like this whole drama going on in the background. Mm-hmm. But I think he falls in like the camp of, like, let's say Ghost Rider, where the first movie did really well because because he looks cool and people wanted to see Ghost Rider. And the same thing is true with Venom. He looks cool and people wanted to see Venom. And they made it get a huge profit. And now you got the sequel, and there's the whole diminished returns of sequels. And the fact that it's not a real Marvel movie, it's an association with Marvel. And then, I don't know, the writing on this was what killed it for me.
Yeah, it was very weak.
The writing really killed it for me. Like, I could see you taking this character and mining it for the comedy that they were going for. Because,
you know what's weird? I never really read any of, like, the Venom storyline with Spider-Man, but I wouldn't immediately associate this character with comedy, but I feel like, I guess that's the tone they've taken, even with the first film.
No, that's the tone they were going for.
Certainly with this one, they've definitely ramped up the comedy bit.
Well, they really wanted to show that there's this odd couple between Eddie and Venom. Mm-hmm. And they don't really play that up in the comic that much,
right?
But
they do
in the
movies.
comic, he's like, I'm sure there are funny bits, but in the comic, he was always more of an intense, dark character. In this one, they're playing it up, and you can do that. You can do that, but you can't do it with such crappy writing.
Yes,
it's agreed. Just there could have been good moments of oddball, mismatched chemistry, and that would have worked. And there were some glints of possible humor in there that may have worked, but you really have to write a more interesting story with better dialogue between the characters. Another thing that doesn't really help in my mind is Venom's voice. Sometimes it's just hard to understand what the hell he's saying,
right,
especially if he's like this. He has like a sort of almost like a manic childlike energy, right. And then you couple that with. And it's like, okay, we're veering into like almost like Muppet territory now, where I don't really understand him too well. And you need that sort of like easy interaction between him and Eddie to really make that sort of odd couple chemistry work. And it just didn't. It really didn't. And then they just leapt right into Carnage. It's like, oh yeah, everybody loves Carnage. I don't know why. He's a stupid character. He's basically Joker with Venom's power. And now they're trying to expand his story and all that. I don't know. I felt Woody Harrelson was kind of wasted here.
Oh, completely. He
wasn't charming. He wasn't anything. He was just saying the corniest dialogue. Everybody was guilty of that, though, but especially him. And it's like, oh, let's scream our, oh, let there be carnage. Like there's a scene where he literally says, let there be carnage. Yeah. And it's like, why? That's stupid. Like, what would possess you to say that, even if you are a supervillain?
I don't know.
You know? And then there was like little thing, what was up with the cop's eyes at the end? I'm sure somebody who knows way more about Venom's history could probably say, oh, well, that character turns out to be, I don't know, a vampire and Venom number 16, Lethal Protector. I don't know, but throwing that in at the end was just like, okay, so I guess they're going to go somewhere with that, maybe in a third one. And then I got to be honest, the only thing worth sitting through this movie for was the Easter egg at the end,
which I missed because I was so through with this movie that I decided to go do laundry or throw some clothes in the dryer.
And the Easter egg makes me wonder what ramifications this is going to have. Clearly, they're trying to fold in the Sony properties with the MCU properties. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll really say. It's probably more of a spoiler than some people may have wanted to hear, but you kind of figured that out when you saw Vulture and the Morbius trailer. And now you're seeing on all the trailers for No Way Home, you see Doc Ock and Electro and Sandman and the Lizard.
Right.
So there's really no shock that Sony is trying to work their way into the Spider-Man universe that the MCU has established.
So I wanted to like this movie because I like a lot of the actors in it. I like Tom Hardy a lot. I like Woody Harrelson a lot. I like Naomi Harris a lot. I like Michelle Williams a lot.
I even like Tommy from Snatch, whose name I don't know.
Yes. Was it Reed Scott? I don't know. Anyway, this was terrible. I can't even get over how bad this was. I fought sleep. I mean, I saw 98% of this film, and it was all over the place. The story was beyond convoluted.
I thought the story was simple. For me, it was just the writing. The writing was awful.
It was very sloppy.
It could have been organized. I mean, okay, I'll agree. It could have been organized or streamlined a little bit better. But as far as the story went, it was about as simple as you can get.
I'm not even talking about simple. It was just uninteresting.
Yeah, and that too.
It was uninteresting and it was sloppy to me. Here's a property that made a ton of money the first go round. I feel like this was like a cash grab. Yeah, absolutely. And we said this in a previous thing. I think in the No Time to Die review that we did, which I also hated. Studios, please don't do your fan base a disservice by just immediately going for the crash grab. Take your time, get good writers, write a stellar script. If you don't have a good script, you don't have a good story. You don't have a good story, you don't have a good movie. I've seen movies that look like they took $2 to make, but the stories in them were so compelling that
you didn't care.
You didn't care. You didn't care that you didn't have the Disney money for the FX in there, I felt horrible watching this because all these actors are wasted here. All of them. I'm angry for all of them. To me, Woody Harrelson is such a solid
Yeah, I mean, seriously, he could have been such a charming, interesting bad guy. And and he's capable, and he's totally capable of playing a heavy.
Yes, absolutely.
He can absolutely play a heavy and
heavy. He's perfect because he can toe that line.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I loved about them casting Michael Keaton in the other Spider-Man movie, because he can toe that line. He can be like the goofy good guy. You remember him from all those '80s comedies, right?
And all that.
But then there's something menacing about him. And I think the same thing with Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson is solid in everything he does. Whether you like him or not, that guy, I don't know if it's all the pot he smokes, but he is a solid performer. He is mesmerizing. He's probably the only interesting thing here, but just the lines of dialogue that they gave him just completely shut my interest down.
I wouldn't even say he's the most interesting thing. I didn't think he was interesting at all. I felt he was so tone like.
But of all the other actors, he's the only one that sort of was like, okay, this is crap. I'm just gonna have fun with it. That's the vibe I got from him.
I didn't even get that. I don't feel like he had enough room to have fun. Honestly, he was there. He said shit dialogue.
He did say shit dialogue.
A couple of like some weird poems and look how creepy I am.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, seriously, he never like had a long discussion with anybody or anything, and it was just all right. Say a couple of things because we really need to move on to the next set piece.
So, who do you think was the most interesting person in this story? Tom Hardy.
I guess you're not giving me much to work with. I
did not like Michelle Williams in this film.
Honestly, I thought she was fine. I thought she was basically playing what she could.
Right.
And I feel like that was how it was with pretty much everybody. Everybody was just doing what they could with what they were given. Because seriously, nobody had a standout scene. Could you think of any scene in this film where you were just like, wow, that was some really good dialogue delivered in a really nice performance.
This was my God, what a waste of time.
Everything was just like
they said PG-13. I feel like there was cursing in this.
There was an F word at the end.
I thought there was more than one cuss word.
You're allowed F word. You're allowed at least one F word in a PG-13 movie.
Is that right? Yeah. I thought PG-13. Well, whatever.
PG, you're not allowed to curse at all. But
right.
I think
okay.
But also, there wasn't really a lot of blood.
No.
I mean, for a couple of characters who bite off people's heads,
right?
There wasn't a lot of gore. I was especially if you're going to do carnage,
right?
The character is
basically
red because he's like covered in blood all the time. There wasn't any. I mean, even when he bite people's heads off, it was just their heads you'd see a body without a head, but there would be like nothing coming out of it.
Not to sidetrack here, but you and I have had this conversation. My favorite Punisher is the Lexi Alexander Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, they went nuts.
They went balls to the wall, right? Yeah. And I feel like if you... I mean, I don't know. Was the plan here to just have a PG-13 audience? Maybe that's why the limitations.
Venom is that was just going to be PG-13. Yeah, they're trying to connect it with the MCU clearly, so it's going to get toned down.
It's so not interesting. I agree.
I
mean, by the end of this film, I legit was angry that I spent that time. I'm like, I could have watched anything else. You and I went through all these streaming services and made a list of films, and this was probably not the one to watch.
I feel this was a waste of time. I could have just YouTubed that final end credit stinger.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch anything in this movie at all. Just YouTube the
Venom, Let There Be Carnage,
the hidden scene at the end of Venom, and you will be satisfied.
Right.
I would not recommend seeing this movie. It's not good. It's just not good.
Awful. It's okay. Second question to you. What would have made this better besides writing? Like how could this story have been better?
It's only the writing. The writing, you have good actors.
Yeah, you have
good
really
special
good
effects.
Actors. Yeah, really good special effects.
Get some good writing. Run this through a couple of polishes. Take some time. To me, this felt like
cash grab.
It's like once they realized that the first Venom made money, they were like, all right, well, when's the date when the next one's coming out? And they made the date, and they were like, all right, everybody just crank some shit out, because the first Venom wasn't really that great to begin with, but it was better than this.
Yeah.
But they don't. That's what I feel is the thing with these like fake Marvel movies or like Marvel adjacent movies. They don't care. It's just like, all right, we got a money making machine over here. Let's just pump out anything, so long as it's got that Marvel logo on it and it has like a cool character. The story is secondary, and you have to get out of that goddamn mindset.
Yeah,
because you're hurting your long-term prospects. It's the reason why the second run of Spider-Man didn't really work out for them. You know, they only made two movies. Yeah, they were going to make a third one, and they were just like, you know what, never mind.
Yeah,
because critical reception was
right.
We weren't invested in it anymore.
Right.
And I think those films did make money, but
not enough.
But signs were on the wall that if you made a third one and you kept doing what you were doing, it wasn't going to make money. Diminishing returns.
So I feel like for this film, at least for me, and this is just like a rush job on my behalf, you get rid of the Naomi Harris character. I didn't understand. I mean, I understood why she was there, but it just wasn't enough. Focus on Cletus, right? They should have really. I mean, you have Woody fucking Harrelson. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, write some shit so that this guy can do what he does, and then I guess I don't know. The relationship that he was trying to have with Eddie could have been interesting, but it just wasn't developed. I feel like, yes, what you were saying before, like the whole odd couple thing, there was more of a focus between Eddie and Venom, which is fine, but it shouldn't have been done here, or it should have been done in a way that one or two scenes maximum of that, so that you kind of get an idea, but then you jump right into this story. I don't know. I mean, I think I have to sit and think about how this could have been better. But right now, I'm just so surly. Like, this was such... And I try to have an open mind because...
Well, you know what?
So much work goes into this. And you were right. You have phenomenal actors. You have really good FX in your corner. So I don't understand how this fell apart like this.
I don't even know. Like, to me, something falling apart means at one point it was good. This just was never there. It's like all right, it fell apart at the end. It didn't fall apart at the end. It was a mess to begin with.
But you have an interesting character. You have the steam of the first one doing well. Granted, the first one was still a mediocre movie, but you have that in your corner. You would think that you would put in the work to really make something better.
Here's the thing. Do we really have an interesting character to begin with? Because I got to be honest, Eddie Brock is not an interesting character.
He's not.
He's
at
not.
least not this
at least not in this movie.
You know what's interesting?
He was basically a guy who was going through the paces. He didn't like in the beginning. Okay, the cop shows up. He's the killer wants to speak to you. Okay, goes to speak to the killer. He's pretty much just a piece for other people to use, including Venom himself.
Right.
Eddie is, as far as him being a personality or whatever, nothing is really shining through.
Nothing.
He's heartbroken that his girlfriend is engaged to
Some
the
other
guy
guy.
that she was seeing in the first movie. Is that really being pushed? Is there a lot going on there? Are we seeing Eddie's mind as far as this goes? No, not really. It's pretty much just milked for a couple of little jokes where Venom says something off color in his head.
Mm-hmm.
He's not an interesting character. He's just there. There's no, at least with the other MCU, other superhero movies that are successful, you hear the character talking with other characters and you're learning about this character. You're learning about how they're feeling, the stuff in their life in the past that makes them who they are. I don't get any of that from him. No. I don't know anything about Eddie Brock.
No.
That he all I know is that he was a reporter. He had a show at some point and he screwed it all up and that was it.
Right.
Is he changing his life? Is he doing things for the better? No, he's just sort of grumbling and complaining about his life. And Venom is in the background acting like a crazy child. Mm-hmm. And okay, that's funny on a very superficial level, but you got to get a bit deeper than that.
Right.
We're sitting with this character for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know how long this movie was.
An hour and 37 minutes.
We're sitting with this person for that long. I should be like, I'm rooting for Eddie Brock.
Right.
I'm rooting for Venom. I want these guys to coexist, get on the same page, learn to have mutual respect and work with each other and all of that. And I didn't feel any of that. Even when they get back together mm-hmm. in that alley when what's her name brings Venom back to him. Mm-hmm. It was like he was apologizing to Venom. But I guess they were trying to do that scene. They were trying to like double it by making it he was also apologizing to Anne. And it's just like, well, that makes it even less genuine because he's not really talking to Venom. He's talking to Anne. It was just poorly written.
Okay, so my notes here are not everything can be PG-13. This movie...
Was the first one PG-13?
I guess so.
I thought the first one was like R and everybody was like, yeah, they're going to do it right.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
I don't know. I mean...
I think it was like Deadpool was the first R-rated superhero.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the success of Deadpool made them...
No, the first one was PG-13.
Oh, it was too?
And this was longer. It's an hour and 52 minutes. But at least, I guess, because it was an origin story, it was more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to know Eddie a bit more. There was more depth to the character. This time, he really is just going through the paces. There's no character growth at all.
None. So my notes here is studios. Not everything should play to the masses. Like you said, this is an alien entity that rips off people's heads.
Yeah.
So right there, guess what? You got to go for the R. And you got to go for the hard R. Ryan Reynolds proved that you can make a good, fun, naughty superhero movie. That should be kind of the standard for this kind of character. So having said that, and also going back to my love of Punisher Warzone, this movie should have just been nothing but action, nothing but just beheadings, I guess, and just really action heavy. Don't care about Venom's relationship with Eddie. Don't care.
No. If there was anything that had potential in this movie, it was the relationship between the two. If there was anything...
That should have all been covered in the first movie.
No. In my mind, you could still milk that for entertainment. Because this is something that's like a continual issue. It's always going to be a problem. But getting them to work together or getting them to interact in a way that shows Eddie is clearly like burdened by this thing that's on him. Mm-hmm. But like at the end of the first movie, it's sort of established that okay, they're kind of on the same page. Mm-hmm. It's never going to be perfect, but they're kind of on the same page.
Right.
That imperfection could lead to good character moments between the two. Mm-hmm. It's like we're not going to get along. But like stuff like that works. I mean, even in Punisher,
did it work here?
No, it didn't.
I was gonna say
no. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't work here at all, and that's where they could have like made this a more interesting movie if the writing was better, if the dialogue between the two characters was better, if somebody understood how relationships work, and for that sort of thing with these two opposite mentalities, you could throw in a lot of fun surprises.
Right.
That you're just like, what? This is crazy.
Right.
In Punisher Warzone, Punisher and the cop.
Yeah.
Did not like each other.
Right.
Totally against each other.
But we're on the same page about the bad guys.
But it wasn't like that all the way.
No,
you're
right.
Seriously, that one scene where they're in the kitchen and the bad guy's subdued and the policeman, the cop is just like, all right, we're going to call this. And then Punisher just blows that guy's head off.
That's freaking amazing. That's a great scene.
He blows his head off and the cop is just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Right.
Stuff like that. Shocking. Like Venom.
That's what I mean. Like stuff like that is what this movie should have been. Okay,
yes,
the
that's
first
exactly
one,
what I'm saying.
The first one, PG-13, fine. You've created this origin story, and if you want to, I don't know, me personally, I could live without the odd couple bickering between Eddie and Venom, but if you want to have it be like the background soundtrack as you see just gore and violence, fine, I guess that works. But to me,
here's the thing: you can't have nonstop gore and violence.
It doesn't need to be nonstop. But I'm just saying.
Well, in those moments where there isn't gore and violence, you have to have character moments, and there weren't any in this movie.
In those moments, they probably should have streamlined the story to make it move better. I wasn't invested in any of these characters. I found none of these characters interesting.
Well, that's
Cletus.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Francis, Anne, Dan, Eddie,
Venom,
the lady downstairs. None of these people.
This is exactly what I'm saying, though. You're arguing with me, but I'm saying the exact same thing, and I'm saying that in those quieter moments where there isn't violence, you have an opportunity to really flesh these characters out and make us care about them. And this film didn't do that at all.
No,
They didn't even try.
No, not at all.
They used those moments for stupid little jokes and exposition, and that was it.
And it didn't even work. And
terrible dialogue.
Terrible dialogue. Oh my God. This was
so terrible.
I mean, no disrespect to people in film school, but this was like film school rookie caliber.
This was like they were saying basically comic book dialogue. And there's a reason why comic book, like straight out of the comic books, that doesn't work in films.
Right.
There's a reason why they change films and make things work for the medium. And let there be carnage, come on.
That was terrible.
That was so stupid. And that was like the only one I really remember, but there were other moments where I'm pretty sure Woody Harrelson is saying something and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just so mad because like all these actors are really, really good. And this was just not a really good vehicle for any of them.
You left a lot of charm on the floor.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I'm sure somebody parlayed this into an addition on their house, but what a waste of time, what a waste of energy, what a waste of talent.
I'm sure it made money.
I don't know. Did it?
I don't know. Is it too early to tell? I have no idea.
I don't know.
I mean, it's already on in demand, but then again, everything's already on in demand now.
I don't know. I just.
All right, let's. I give this a 4.
I too give this a 4. Really disappointing.
Not good.
I mean, if you're a fan
average.
of the property, I guess go see the first one again. But I mean, okay, not to beat a dead horse, but the way Raimi did Eddie Brock was way more interesting.
In Spider-Man 3?
Was it 3 or 2? No, it was 3, right? Because it wasn't 2. Ock was the villain in 2.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't remember much about Spider-Man 3 other than I was really disappointed. Or
Yeah,
it became so horribly convoluted with like the fact that Sandman was in it and Venom and Green Goblin. It was a lot of plates spinning in the air, you know.
Yeah, and you could definitely tell that a studio hand
and evil
was all over
evil
it.
Peter.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff. I mean, yeah, the story behind that was there was a buttload of studio meddling in that thing, which
you can tell. My God, from the final product,
seems to be the hallmark of a lot of non-MCU superhero movies.
Yeah,
they're not made by comics fans; they're made by studio executives who
don't
kind of look down on the properties.
Yeah,
like,
they don't understand.
This is stupid, but people pay money for it, so
I don't know. My thing would have been like, okay, you did the first one, and I would have taken the second one to a completely different level. I mean, it worked for Alien. I mean, the first Alien is like horror, and the second Alien is an action movie. So I think they should have done that. I think they should have really leaned into the violence here.
This, you know what? With a villain like Carnage, especially the way these things work, these symbiotes work, you could have totally made this a horror movie.
That too, yeah.
You could have went from the first one, which is sort of like sci-fi action, and just did like sort of the opposite Alien and made this thing just like a horror movie.
A horror movie, yeah.
Like people exploding from the inside out and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it would have done well. It would have played.
It would have been creepy, yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know.
I'm tired of talking about this movie now. I feel bad that I wasted an hour and a half watching it.
Yeah,
I could have just watched the end credits.
Well, we never knew. I mean, I don't think anyone spoiled the ending. I've never heard that.
I didn't know either. I mean, I heard there's posts out there that like, what does the end credit scene from Venom mean? But I didn't know. I didn't look any deeper there because I despise spoilers. I wish I had though. At this point, in retrospect, I should have just watched that because I really do feel like I wasted an hour and a half of my life watching this movie.
So, without giving too much away, is this now going to go to Marvel, this property, you think?
I don't know. I mean, the Spider-Man movies are pulling in the Sony
properties,
creative stuff.
Right.
Like, there's Doc Ock, there's Jamie Foxx as Electro, although he looks totally different than he did in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
From what you've seen of the Lizard, it looks like the exact same character.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there? Oh, Sandman looks roughly the same.
Yeah.
So, and then you have like when they had that trailer for Morbius, you saw Michael Keaton's Vulture in that trailer. So there is merging going on. They're going to use the whole multiverse opening up as an excuse to bring these properties together.
Yeah, which is smart.
Which is very smart. Especially, and I really hope that they let Marvel Studios be the one in charge of the properties,
right? Because they know how to really,
I don't know. I mean,
plot out stories.
Yeah, they know how to plot it out. They know how to work it in with everything else, and they're better at the character moments than non-MCU stuff.
Yeah, I mean
they're better with the character moments than pretty much any other superhero movies that are.
I mean, the only people they can compete with as far as story is Pixar.
Pixar's really good. Yeah,
Pixar's very good at story development.
Pixar's excellent. Pixar does great character development.
And those moments.
Yeah. And the Marvel Studios does a great job with that, and it's because they love their properties,
right?
You know, and
they pay attention.
The people in charge love it. It's like we're a comic book company that is now making movies,
right?
We're not a movie company making movies about comics.
Right.
And that's like I feel that's a real shortcoming when it comes to the other properties, like the DC movies.
Although DC's been good at the TV stuff, but I think it's because they have the time to...
They're good at the TV stuff because they're not afraid to just go into the cheesiness. Like, that's seriously,
that's fair.
They'll just be like, all right, let's throw in Gorilla Grodd, a giant psychic gorilla. Yeah. And they'll just do it, and it's just like fine.
But it works.
I think it's because this like Warner Brothers is just like, we don't give a crap about that. So long as it makes decent ratings, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Right.
You don't have a lot of people like, oh wow, could you put my daughter in, or oh, we have this new singer. Could you put her in? I'm sure they do that too, but who cares? It's a television show.
Yeah. On the WB, which nobody watches.
On the W, or is it the CW, right?
CW, right. Sorry. We always get that.
We're old. We remember when it was the WB.
We remember when it was Pix, right?
Well, it still is Pix.
It is Pix, right. Channel 11 still is Pix.
Yeah, they don't really care about the TV shows. But
I think
the level of quality, they're just like, you know what? We could have decent special effects. We don't care if I don't know, some flavor of the month one hit wonder appears.
Wants to be a guest star. But I think the other thing is that because it's a series, you have the luxury, I guess, of really developing a story, right? I mean, that Smallville show was on forever.
Way longer than it was.
Holy smokes. That thing was on forever. Green Arrow also finally.
Arrow.
Oh, Arrow, whatever it was. Yeah, that thing was on forever. Flash, is Flash still on?
I think Flash is still
on. Okay. That's been on for a long time.
Yeah, they've been on for a long time. And the longer it goes on, the more people bitch. Seriously.
Well, I mean, this is the age of the internet.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
if you're not bitching, you're not doing the internet right.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think as far as, I mean, there's obviously more comic companies, but of the two big dogs, Marvel's definitely winning the race war here against DC. But I think that, I don't know. Did I say race war? I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm tired. This movie really took it out of me. I still can't.
I really feel upset that I wasted an hour and a half.
Yeah, I literally, that was my reaction. I was surly. I was mad.
Yeah.
I walked away and I missed the only interesting part of this movie, which was the Easter egg at the end. And I don't feel bad about it because you told me about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm still surly that I wasted time on this film. And I don't know. Andy Serkis, who I adore, is the director on this. But
not a good job, Andy.
I don't know. It's weird. His films have a certain slant, right?
It looked okay.
But there was that The Boy Who Would Be King movie or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they look pretty, and I think that there's something about them, but it just like the final payoff is never there for me.
The Boy Who Would Be King. That's just a silly kids movie.
True, but didn't he direct the Christmas Carol with Guy Pearce that I just was so mad about as well?
He directed that?
Didn't he? I don't know.
Well, it looked nice, but the writing was terrible. Maybe that's the problem. He needs to get. I don't know. Maybe he's a terrible writer. I don't know. But
he didn't write this.
Maybe he needs to get more involved in the writing process or be more. I don't know.
Although no, wait. This says director Ruben Fleischer. I thought it said Andy Serkis.
For this movie?
Oh wait, this is the first one. What? Yeah, never mind. I was like, wait a minute, Ruben Fleischer. Who's that?
He's the guy they didn't invite back. Or maybe Ruben was like,
no, this Andy Serkis is the director of this. Kelly Marcel is the script writer. I think she did it with, what's his name? Tom Hardy. Which is weird because that Taboo show was really interesting, and he's a writer on that. And this was nowhere near as interesting as Taboo.
Yeah, this wasn't good.
I don't know. All right, I guess we'll wrap it up.
All right, so like I said, I'm giving it a 4. Skip it.
Yeah.
Just watch the end scene credit on YouTube.
I'm looking at his movies. They're pretty, but they're forgettable. Final thoughts? Skip this. Skip it hard. That's it from us. Good night.
Good night.